Just a disclaimer, when I laugh and smile during this video, it has nothing to do with cheating or what I did. Like, what I did and cheating in general is stupid. Like, you don't mess with people's emotions like that or do that to people or be disloyal. It's just, we all know how bad it is, okay? But I laugh and smile naturally, so I don't want you guys to think that I have no conscience, okay? To get a little bit more context about the situation before we really dive into it, I dated a girl for 4 years. I cheated on her a bunch of times, and she found out about a lot of times, and then there's a bunch of times where she didn't find out about, but she knew, if that makes any sense. Like, she wasn't stupid, she was a smart girl, right? It was just one of those young teenage relationships where you guys just pretty much stick through like almost like anything until, you know, shit hits the fan, and that's what we're gonna be talking about right now. So fast forward through all the cheating and everything like that, the last like 6 months we were together, everything was like getting better. Like, we were getting a little bit older, we were like getting over a lot of little immature things like jealousy and things like that. And honestly, a lot of it had to do with stuff that I had started by cheating, and it just opened the door on both sides to be more mature. So anyways, we were getting over a lot of that stuff, and I started to get to the point to where I was like looking around at other girls again, and I wasn't acting on it, but I could feel my mind slipping away, and I started getting into this like corner in my conscience where I was like, man, I can't cheat again, like I'm not gonna do it. I started having these arguments with myself, and that sounds crazy, right? But like, if you're a guy, you know how that goes, and that's not an excuse, an explanation for any guy that's cheated. Like, he shouldn't even be having that argument in his head, but that's the reality of it. It does not make it okay. It's just, it's my perspective, that's the perspective of a lot of other guys. I know it is because I've had these conversations with other guys. Back to the story. I was having this argument, this like conflict in my head, and there was a girl in one of my classes in college, and we had worked together like a year before that, and I remember seeing her. I thought she was cute, never did anything about it. I was just like, oh, she's cute, just like, you know, any other girl you see on the street, right? But the fact that we were in class and I didn't know anyone else in the class, it was kind of like, oh, okay, I have an excuse to be friends with this really cute girl because I don't know anybody else, right? At least that's what I was telling myself. Anyways, obviously I didn't tell my girlfriend at the time, but me and this girl got put up in the same group for a project, and I used that as a segue to ask for her phone number. So we were texting mainly just about class and school and stuff like that, and then I started initiating the conversation to where I was like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? You know what I mean? And even then, that was wrong. I should have never texted her, but I didn't act on it more than that. And the other flip side of the story is, and this, I'm not going to talk about her, but she also had a boyfriend, and she was dating him for 4 years. So it's like, she was in a long relationship, I was in a long relationship. We were almost using each other as an outlet to, you know, live outside of the relationships that we were currently in, if that makes any sense at all. Really, really terrible thing to do. So as you guys probably already know, this just escalated, and it got to the point to where we were just flirting with each other a lot. We were texting each other a lot. We started calling each other like on the phone, like some nights here and there, having like literally just friendly conversation, but friendly conversation with a foundation of, you know, you knowing you shouldn't be doing it is not really friendly conversation. You know what I mean? It was kind of like the elephant in the room, or the elephant in the middle of the conversation, you know what I mean? Where we both knew we shouldn't have been on the phone, and more so, I really knew I shouldn't have been on the phone because I had been caught up a million other times before this. What makes this situation a little bit different than the ones beforehand is that I never acted on this physically. I just pursued this girl, and that's almost worse, right? Because I started liking this girl and having feelings for her. And it's not that I didn't have feelings for the girlfriend I was with at the time, it's just I was young and I was stupid, and it's like, you don't know it's okay to have a crush on somebody else when you're younger. Like, as you get older, you start to realize like, I don't need to fight my emotions. I don't need to fight my like feelings as a man. Like, you're gonna be attracted to other women. You might have a little crush on a coworker here and there, and it's really just harmless. But those people that say like, no, 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 those are the people that make bad decisions. I can be honest up front and say, man, I think that girl's really pretty. In my head, I would never say that to a girlfriend, you know what I mean? But I can be honest up front and say that about somebody now and know that it's harmless. Like, I don't need to be with that person. I just acknowledge in my head like, oh yeah, and then that's it. Whereas before, I feel like you have this urge, and if you don't acknowledge it and you lie to yourself, it just builds up bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas if like you just admit it to yourself, it's just kind of out there, and then you're like, oh yeah, she's, you know, she's just hot. But I was lying to myself a lot, and I was like very, 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 what do you say? I basically had a big crush on this girl, and I started lying to myself saying, no, I don't, no, I don't, no, I don't. And it almost turned into that thing like, you want what you can't have, because I was in a relationship. But the immature side of me was also saying like, I want to be with my girlfriend still. I don't want to break up with her for this girl. So it's like really stupid, right? You want two girlfriends kind of thing. Yeah, it's crazy to think of this now, like saying it out loud and hearing my thought process from back then. It's just, yeah, it's kind of blowing my mind a little bit. Anyways, me and this girl continued texting, and she broke up with her boyfriend, like I remember, and she called me and told me she just broke up with him, because we were both kind of insinuating to the other one, like basically using each other as a crutch to get out of a relationship, right? And we wanted to be in these relationships with these people, but we knew we shouldn't have, because we knew that like the relationship was toxic for not just their life but also our lives, because you can't do this kind of stuff consistently, right? And like there was stuff on both ends. Like, I shouldn't have been in that relationship. She shouldn't have been in that relationship. The girl I was talking to shouldn't have been in that relationship. The guy that she was dating shouldn't have been in that relationship. It was just like this big old like fuck up of decisions, right? This girl broke with her boyfriend, and she called me and she told me, and I remember we talked on the phone for like an hour or whatever, and then I was like, okay. And then she was kind of like insinuating that I should do the same thing. So we got off the phone, and I didn't plan on breaking up with my girlfriend. I kind of didn't know what to do. I was like, man, how long can I ride this out? Like, I know that I'm gonna probably cheat. I know that I'm gonna get caught up. I hadn't cheated yet. Like, mentally, obviously, emotionally, I had, right? But physically, I had not cheated. And the way fate goes is that like it will come after you no matter what, right? So I remember we got off the phone that night, and the next day I was hanging out with like my current girlfriend, my actual girlfriend at the time, right? Not my current girlfriend, but my girlfriend at the time. And we were in the car, and we were in the car with two other people. I was in the front seat, and my girlfriend was in the back seat, and she was in the back seat that was like diagonal from me. So I was texting this girl on my phone, and she saw over, you know, my shoulder, like she looked and she was like, oh, okay. It was like obvious, you know what I mean? Like, we're all in the car, and at one point I remember I looked back and she was just giving me that look, you know what I mean? And I was like, ah, shit, she probably saw. Like, it was just so obvious in my head, like, yeah, this is going to be one of those situations again. So I remember we pulled up to my house, and the two others went inside, and we're outside, and she's like, we need to talk. And I was like, about what? It was almost like one of those memes where the girl goes, you think I'm stupid? And I'm like, huh? And she goes, huh? Like sarcastically back. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly what happened this time, because I was trying to play stupid, and she was like not having it. She's trying to reach in my pockets for my phone, right? And like, she's so hyped up on adrenaline. She's got like these death grips, and I'm not like a weak person. I do submission grappling, all this stuff. I got strong hands. She pulled that phone out of my pocket. Like, it slipped out of my hands. I don't know if it was just my hands were sweaty from being like kind of like scared and worried, or if she was really that strong. It was probably a mix of both. So she grabs my phone, she starts walking down the street. I start running down the street. To jump forward to the interesting part of it, it was one of those big blow-ups where it was her screaming and me yelling and me saying I'm sorry, and then a bunch of crying on her side, and just really, really big atom bomb of emotions. And There's really nothing more to be said about that situation other than that was when we broke up. We'd broken up kind of for like a couple hours here and there, but not even like a day. Like we'd never really broken up. And after like 4 years, like that was the last straw. Like we broke up and that was it. We broke up and then we talked a few times, maybe like a handful of times after that. I remember she had dropped off some clothes and then it was like done with. So after 4 years, I got caught up like that, and then we didn't talk anymore at all. We still don't talk. Moral of the story is, if you're a young guy, the obvious is don't cheat, okay? Like, don't cheat. Just don't. That's like a given, right? There are some things I want to point out though, that they're gonna seem like they have nothing to do with this, but they're really, really important. Girls, if someone cheats on you, break up with them the first time. Like, don't give them a second chance. But if you do, don't treat every situation the same. It doesn't mean that he's gonna cheat on you again. It also doesn't mean that he won't cheat on you again. It's just really complicated, you know what I mean? When I sit and I look back at it, there's almost no right answer for like what to do when someone cheats on you. It's obviously not the right thing to do. I kind of don't even know where I'm going with it now because there's all this stuff I'm thinking about. Comment below if you've ever cheated or if you've ever been cheated on. This is a no shame zone. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what other stories you'd like to hear. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer all of them. I'll be as blunt as I can. Forgive me for my honesty. I hope a bunch of you don't unsubscribe to me because of this. I'm just trying to be very honest. I'll see you guys next time.